His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Vivid Sansthapak Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Shtadraksa His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरिगोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेटर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री राधा नील माधव भगवान की श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की श्री गौर निताय की ताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Fine. So today we will begin with the story of the appearance of Lord Jagannath in Purushottam Kshetra Puri. There was a great king in the kingdom of Avanti whose name was Indradyumna Maharaj. He developed a deep, intense desire to have darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this very lifetime. So he approached his Purohit or the priest and said, please guide me on how I can get darshan of the Supreme Lord himself. The Purohit organized a gathering of various Tirthayatris, devotees who were experienced in traveling to holy places, taking darshan of various holy places. And then all of these Tirthayatris came together and then they acknowledged. One of them, he mentioned, one of them mentioned that I know the place where you should go. And that is the Purushottam Kshetra. And there, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in his all-effulgent form. So immediately, this Purohit told his younger brother, whose name was Vidyapati, that you please go and organize the darshan for the king. Once you have made all the arrangements, we will bring the king. So Vidyapati goes ahead and there he meets the great Shabara king who is known as Vishwavasu. So Vishwavasu belongs to a group of people who take care of pigs. So they are known as Shabaras. So in the social system they were not considered very high, but they had pure devotion. And then they brought Vidyapati in front of their worshipable deities, whose name was Lila. By seeing the beauty of Lila, Vidyapati was awestruck. He could not believe his eyes. And he said, I should immediately make arrangements for bringing Indradyumna Maharaj here. Vishwavasu said, you can do that, but there is one caveat to this, that the Lord is not going to give darshan to Indradyumna Maharaj because very soon these deities and this place will be covered over by a sandstone. But we should not reveal this to King Indradyumna, we have to bring him. So Vidyapati went and informed King Indradyumna that he has found Nila and he has to come for the darshan. And in a very elaborate procession, everybody goes. But by the time Indradumna Maharaj reaches that place, the whole place is covered over by storm, and the sand buries the deities of Nilamata. So as Indradumna Maharaj is lamenting that he could not take the darshan of the beautiful form of Lord, he hears an Akashvani, and that Akashvani reveals that the Lord, one hair of the Lord has manifested in the form of a log of wood, and that will be known as Daru Brahma. And mysteriously an old person will appear, and he will perform. He will actually carve these deities, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra and Sudarshan, out of that log of wood. So in different Puranas, different detailed versions are given. But the essence is that as Indradumna Maharaj started performing the Ashwamedha Yagyas which he was asked to perform, as a result of which the lordships will actually manifest. Very soon, from the ocean, there was this log of wood, 4 logs of wood which came. And these were taken up. And immediately an old person appeared and he said, I will be the one carving this. So he said that you should not disturb me. Nobody should disturb me when I am carving. And for 21 days, this carving will go on. In fact, even the sound of this carving should not be heard by anybody outside. So Maharaj Indradumna agreed for this. And as the carving began, by the 15th day, the king's wife, Queen Gundicha, she could not hear the sound of the carving. So she could not resist herself, but she forced Indradumna Maharaj. We have to see what's going on, whether the carving is happening or not. And then King Indradumna enters. And at that point, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra and Sudarshan were standing right in front of them, giving their beautiful darshan. So some people say these were the unfinished forms of the Lord. But as we described yesterday, these were not the unfinished forms of the Lord, but these were the ecstatically manifested forms of Krishna, as described in the Dwarka Lila. And therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Upanishads in various ways. That, as Ishopanishad says, Tadaijati, Tannaijati, Taddure, Tadvantike. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bhavati. The Supreme Lord walks, he does not walk. He eats, he does not eat. He has hands, still he has no hands. Sarvata pani padam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham. So he has his hands everywhere. At the same time, he is without any hands. So to resolve all these contradictions, so-called contradictions in the Upanishads, the Lord manifested a form which was inconceivable. And these are the beautiful forms of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And so, there are different versions of how the temple was inaugurated. Indradumna Maharaj built a beautiful temple, and then, he wanted Brahmaji to come and install the deities. So he went to invite Brahmaji. When he went to invite Brahmaji, he was asked to stand outside for a few minutes because Brahmaji was busy. The few moments which he stayed waiting for Brahmaji to respond, in those few, actually he was asked to wait because Brahmaji's guardian said, you do not have the right visa to enter. Because to enter Brahmaloka, you have to have the right body, and you don't have that. So there was some argument which happened, and that argument took a few moments. But a few moments in Brahmalok was equivalent to 4.3 million years on this planet. And so by the time Indradyumna Maharaj returned back, somebody else was there and he was claiming that he is the one who built the temple. And there was a big controversy. Right? So don't think controversies are new. From the time before Jagannath ji was installed in the temple, and from the time where the creation has happened, conflicts have always been there. Right at the beginning of creation, when the Kumaras came out of Brahma, Brahma told them get married. They refused. Brahmaji became angry. But Brahmaji thought, if I become angry, people will think I do not have control over my senses. So he tried to control his anger. But Brahmaji's anger was so intense, it came out in the form of Rudra, Lord Shiva manifested. So differences of opinion and conflicts will always be part of this creation. Therefore, finally, Brahmaji installed the deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, and they were installed in the Gundicha temple. And on that beautiful altar, and it is described that the day they were installed was the day of the Snan Purnima. And so the question arises that when we perform the Rath Yatra for the 9 days, then what about the Ulta Rath, where the deities are brought from Gundicha back to Vrindavan? Because yesterday we discussed about Krishna being taken from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. But in Ulta Rath we are bringing Krishna back from Vrindavan to Kurukshetra. So therefore, Lord Jagannath is described as Aishwarya Madhurya Yugal Milan, a sweet combination of Aishwarya, opulence, and Madhurya, sweetness. And Sanatana Goswami describes in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Krishna Devada Priyam Tat Kshetram Yatha Sri Mathura Tathaiva Tat Paramaishwarya Bhara Prakasha Lokanusari Vyavahara Ramyam. He says, as Mathura and Vrindavan is eternally dear to Krishna, similarly Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri is also eternally dear to Krishna. And Jagannath Puri has the Aishwarya and Madhurya, both aspects. So how to reconcile this Aishwarya and Madhurya Siddhanta? So this is the interesting topic. Aishwarya Jnana Pradhanye Sankuchita Priti Dekhiyana Mane Aishwarya Kevalara Riti. So Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, when Lord's opulence is prominent, then the love of Godhead is shrunken. You cannot have awe and intimacy at the same time. When there is intimacy, awe and reverence cannot be there. When awe and reverence is there, intimacy cannot be there. You cannot have an intimacy of Vatsalya with Narsingadev. Right? When he appeared in the Ugra form for those moments, till he killed Hiranyakashipu, he did not look here and there, not even at Prahlad, because he was on a mission. So he had to release his anger fully. There is no question of Bal Lila with Narsingadev. He was looking for Hiranyakashipu's Bal to destroy him. Satyam vidhatum nijavritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu cha atmana. So he was full of opulence, strength, power, Aishwarya. He wanted to destroy the demon Hiranyakashipu. In our Bhaktivedanta hospital, in our operation theatre, they had a photo of Narsingadev. And one of the patients, he was not familiar. He was going through a surgery. Before that, he saw that photo and got bewildered. He looked at the doctor and said, "What is this?" Because Narsingadev, when he is ripping apart, is in a very ferocious form. The doctor was a devotee. He said, "This is the first surgery in history." So the patient was, curious. He said, "What happened to the surgery? What was the result?" He said, "Surgery was successful, patient was delivered." So that surgery was performed because Lord Narsingadev realized that all of us carry a deadly tumor. That deadly tumor is known as false ego. And that deadly tumor of false ego cannot be destroyed outside the house. It cannot be destroyed inside the house. That false ego cannot be destroyed in the sky. That false ego continues to shadow us on the ground. That false ego cannot be destroyed by any kind of species in the 8.4 million species. That false ego cannot be destroyed by any weapons, living or dead. That false ego cannot be destroyed at day or at night. It is active all the time. And therefore, the only way to destroy that false ego was for Lord Narsingadev to appear himself. And so, that destruction which was caused by Lord Narsingadev on Hiranyakashipu, in our case, he doesn't have to rip apart our intestines. So what is the method by which we are transformed? We are transformed. Our false ego is ripped apart by the order of the devotees. When you allow the devotees to order us, to instruct us, and we take the order of the devotees on our head, that instruction of the devotees acts as the nails of Narsingadev. So the power of the nail of Narsingadev lies at the tip of the devotee's tongue. Through their instruction, through their order, they can begin the process of destroying our false ego. Right? I think all of us have the experience. So when you are chanting Narsingarati, so don't think that Narsingadev will come the way he came for Prahlad like that. He will come through so many devotees who will actually give their instructions and expect us to follow that. Vaishnavera gunagrahi no dekhaye dosh, kaya mane vakya kore Vaishnava santosh. We have to be the gunagrahi, one who seeks the essence of the devotee's qualities. Na dekhaye dosh, do not find faults with the devotees. Kaya mane vakya kore Vaishnava santosh. With body, mind and words, try to follow the devotees' orders and serve them to the best of one's ability. So therefore, Chaitanya Charitamrita is describing that when opulence is prominent, love of Godhead is shrunken, and the devotee sees the unlimited potency of Krishna. He submits himself at the lotus feet of Krishna. So Prabhupada said, when we are worshipping the deities in temples of ISKCON, Radha and Krishna are actually in the Madhurya Bhav. But the pujaris or the sadhakas approach towards Radha and Krishna is in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, with awe and reverence. So that's important. So here we find that in Jagannath temple, very beautifully, both sweetness and opulence is manifested at the same time. So as I described, that during the Snan Yatra, hundreds of pots of auspicious herbs are, poured over Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And as a result, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra go through 15 days of Anavasara. Jagannath becomes sick. Okay. So that he goes into seclusion. And he goes into seclusion to regain his health. So there was a yogi whose name was Karamagiri Yogi. And he traveled all over India. And then he decided the most important place for having darshan is Purushottam Kshetra. So Karamagiri Yogi appeared at Jagannath Puri just before the Snan Yatra. And when he appeared, the Snan Yatra was over and the deities were not there. Darshan was closed. So the temple remains closed, darshan is not available. So he became very upset. Why Jagannath darshan is not available? So they said, Arey, Jagannath is sick. He said, Arey, Supreme Brahman, how can he become sick? How is it possible? This doesn't make sense. No, they are in seclusion and they are offering various kinds of auspicious herbs, healing him, various, ceremonies are happening. Only after 15 days darshan will be available. He started making a big noise. But I have come from all over, traveling all over India. I have my other schedule to go. I cannot wait for 15 days. I want darshan now. I know nothing is going on inside. It's all a fraud. So as you know that, rumor mongering is also common. To manage temple is not easy. You take any decision, 100 people will have 100 different opinions. Why did he make this announcement? Why this decision was taken? So the head priest is trying to explain, Baba, for hundreds of years this is tradition. Well, I don't believe it. You have some vested interest. You are doing some, strange thing inside. I want to see. You are doing this entire thing has been orchestrated because I am coming. That's why you are doing this. So Pujari could not handle because this was like a very powerful tapasvi yogi. So they didn't want to kind of agitate him too much. He said there is one chance that the darshan can be opened before the 15 days if the king gives the order. That is another standard operating procedure. When the heat goes up, escalate the matter. So he said, who can give permission? King can give. So you please leave me, go to king. So he transferred the problem. So Karamagiri Yogi goes to the king and starts shouting, what kind of king you are? Supreme Brahman. He becomes sick, nonsense. Open the darshan. Your pujaris are all doing fraud. King got bewildered. Right? I never thought anybody could question thousands of years tradition with such confidence. So the king had not seen a case like this before. It was a very unique case. It was a case study. So the king said, we have never ever done this in the past. You have to bear with us. And actually the Pandas, the Daitapatis, who are very dear to the Lord, they are taking care during this period, personally feeding him, personally taking care. So actually it's a very, very important period for the Lord to recuperate. He said, have you seen? Have you gone inside and seen? No. So they are making fool of you also. The king got bewildered, right? From where this guy came, Baba. And he said, no, for thousands of years, for thousands of years they are making fool. So you have to go inside. So he said, you cannot go inside, it is not allowed. He said, you come with me, I will go inside because I have got mystic power. So the king said, okay, you go ahead, then we will see. King wanted to get rid of him. Suddenly the yogi jumped on top of a banyan tree. And then by his mystic power, the banyan tree got uprooted and that became his flight to go from Cuttack to Puri. So the king saw that, This is Airbnb. He's taking a flight on this, tree. This person is powerful. The king thought I should also follow. So the king could not afford another banyan flight. So he sat on his horse and he went. And he reached there. And he was waiting for this yogi. The yogi took the form of bumblebee. And he entered, inside the sanctum sanctorum, taking the form of bumblebee. So that means how much power the person has and what level of agitation he has, that he is willing to express his agitation in such way. So he entered inside. As soon as he goes inside, he sees on the altar there is no deities. Jagannath, by his mystic power, covers his darshan, and he just sees beautiful lotus. And the fragrance of that lotus enchants the bee. He comes and sits right inside. As soon as he sits inside, the lotus closes. He gets suffocated and he's crying out. Immediately the lotus releases and he comes out and looks at the king and he says, looks like something is going on inside. But give me one more chance. So this time he became adrishya, invisible. He entered inside. And when he entered inside this time, again Jagannath ji closed his darshan, covered his darshan, and he just saw some beautiful women enticing him. He got bewildered. He felt, oh, I'll get distracted, and he came out. And then after coming out, he looked at the king and surrendered to him and said, I think your Jagannath is the Supreme Lord. Because with my mystic power, I could not get his darshan. So I am convinced that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who reserves the right of when he will reveal himself. And you cannot forcibly get his darshan by your own power. And so he said, I want to now settle down here in Jagannath Puri and make a place for me. So the king gave a mutt, which is right next to the Jagannath temple, and that's where he settled down. So this Anavasara period of 15 days where the Lord does not give darshan, in those 15 days, Lakshmi Devi is nursing Jagannath ji day and night without sleep. As she is serving, after 15 days, just on Netrotsav day, Lakshmi Devi is so tired, she falls asleep. When she falls asleep, on Pandav Nirjal Ekadashi, 4 days before Snan Yatra, Jagannath and Lakshmi have got married. So the Pandavas organize the wedding and tie both their clothes together. So when Jagannath ji sees that Lakshmi is sleeping, he unties the knot. And after untying the knot, Jagannath leaves the main temple and goes towards Gundicha to see Srimati Radharani and the gopis. After 5 days, Rath Yatra is already over. Jagannath has already reached Gundicha. On the 5th day after Rath Yatra, Lakshmi Devi wakes up and she sees her husband is gone. So Lakshmi Devi starts asking all the servants of Jagannath, where is Jagannath? Where is Jagannath? Where is he? And they are looking at each other. How can we answer? Whoever answers, the bearer of the news, will get special chastisement. So they are all looking at each other. She's asking again and again, where has he gone? Why are you quiet? Tell me. And they look at her and say, he has gone to meet his girlfriends in Gundicha, in Vrindavan. Lakshmi becomes angry. She leaves the altar. And first thing she does is she goes to the kitchen and smashes all the chulas. And then she does not take any bath, does not eat any food, and she is sulking. And at this point, Lakshmi Devi goes to Goddess Vimala and says, this is not right. I just got newly married. And during the 15 days immediately after marriage, I served him so well. For doing so much of service, at least he should have taken me with him. He left me behind and took Subhadra instead. And Baldev also. Why, I was the only unqualified or what? Why did this happen to me? And Bimala said, what to do? Men are something like this only sometimes. What can be done? Nothing can be done. So, you do one thing. You have to transform him. Whatever has happened. But you have to convince him to come back. So, Bimala Devi gives a specific churna. And she says, take this churna and you go in front of Jagannath and blow this churna on him. Make sure that churna goes towards his head. Dimag theek ho jaye. So unfortunately, recipe for this churna is not good. This will restore your husband's intelligence, she says. So Lakshmi Devi is all set. So then she takes a bath and collects her associates. And then, the associates of Lakshmi carry her in a palanquin. And they go towards Gundicha. So the 5th day after Rathyatra is celebrated as Hera Panchami. 5th day is Panchami. Hera means to see. Where Lakshmi is going to see Jagannath, her husband. So Lakshmi Devi is in an angry and jealous mood of Adhira Naika, which is restless and aggrieved heroine. She's in that mood. So this is like when is Hera Panchami? Today is 3rd. So another 2 days. So on that day, there will be certain pandas who will play the role of Lakshmi Devi's associates, and other pandas will play the role of Jagannath's associate. And then there will be a conflict. Actually, they play it out. All the local Udiya galis they give. Any Vedic Brahmana who comes will get a heart attack. That this is a temple festival? What kind of temple festival is this? Right? So, many things about Jagannath's pastimes are very, very mysterious. And then Lakshmi Devi goes, and as soon as they go, the first thing they see is the Rath. Jagannath's Rath in which they went. So the servants look at Lakshmi Devi and she says, and they start breaking the Rath. So they also do that. So they take a part of the Rath and they break it. Not the whole Rath, because return journey has to happen. So one small part as an indication that they are upset and angry. Then Lakshmi Devi enters inside Gundicha temple, and all the servants of Jagannath are like on high alert. What is she going to do? And they're looking at her. She doesn't speak to anyone. She comes right in front of Jagannath and takes that churna and blows it on the head of Jagannath as per instruction of Bimala Devi. And then she comes back without speaking. On the way back, she meets some Jagannath servants outside and she says, tell your master, his wife has returned back to the palace. It's like an ultimatum. Convey the message. So as soon as the message is given, Jagannath can no longer perform his Ras Lila with the gopis peacefully. Because so far he was kind of, enjoying. He was in a bubble. But now he realizes, oh, now she's in an angry mood waiting for me. I don't know what is going to happen. So within 2 days after that, he starts preparing to return back. So almost, on the 8th day, he starts making the preparation. And on the 9th day is what is known as the Bahula Ekadashi, when Jagannathji returns. So the king of Puri plays an important role of becoming a mediator. So the king goes in front and goes to Lakshmi Devi. And as Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra's chariots are coming, king goes and prepares Lakshmi Devi's mood that your husband Jagannath is coming back. Actually, he loves you very much. Please forgive him. He's kind of becoming advocate on behalf of Jagannath. So then Jagannath chariot comes right in front of the temple, and the king is telling, please forgive. She says, no, go back. So that means the Lakshmi Devi's Panda servants, they chastise the king and he comes back. And so Jagannath again sends his servant second time. And finally she comes out in a palanquin, circumambulates. And after circumambulating Jagannath's chariot, she goes back into the temple. On that day, Jagannath is sitting on the chariot only. And on the chariot, he is wearing what vesh? The Sona vesh. Why he wears the Sona vesh? Complete gold. Millions of dollars worth of gold. Why? Because he has to make a point. He left the opulence of Nilachal and went to Sundarachal, attracted by the simplicity of Braj. Now Lakshmi is angry. Why he left? So now he has to please her. So he has to convince her that he is done with the simplicity of Vrindavan. He is back into the opulence. And he is all in a mood to come back and experience the opulence and Aishwarya of this temple. So to demonstrate that he has nothing to do with the simplicity of Braj, he is bedecked with tremendous amounts of gold. So therefore, so that Lakshmi can be convinced that no longer he is going to be associated with the simplicity of Vrindavan. So then Lakshmi gets convinced, and she allows Balram and Subhadra to return to their places next day in the morning. The next day morning after the return Rath Yatra on the Dwadashi. So when Balram and Subhadra enter, Jagannath is about to enter. Before Jagannath can be brought down, Lakshmi's servants slam the main door of Simhadwar shut, putting one more obstacle, that amongst the three, he is the main culprit. So we won't allow him to enter. So all this is enacted. So then they'll close it. And then Jagannath's servants will come with logs, wanting to storm in, and all those dramas are enacted. And finally, there is a dialogue, and Jagannath's representatives and Lakshmi Devi's representative, they have dialogue. And finally, Jagannath's representative, in a mood of humility, submit that Jagannath loves his wife Lakshmi very much. He's feeling very bad. He's begging for her forgiveness. And then they bring lots of gifts and they offer to Lakshmi's representatives. Then finally, they allow the door to be opened. Then Jagannath is able to enter into his own temple. So therefore, this is the sweetness of the pastimes of Jagannath ji as part of the Rath Yatra. So the day Jagannath ji returns to Shri Mandir or Nilachal is known as Niladri Vijay, that he has triumphantly returned back. So then the final ceremony after Jagannath ji enters and is placed on the altar is Jagannath's cloth are tied again to Lakshmi Devi's cloth. And this is in one way then the couple, they are reunited. So this is the beautiful pastimes of Jagannath when he is returning back. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the question arises, did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participate in the return Rath Yatra? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radharani. And it is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya and his associates participated in all the festivals which happened in Nilachal. They celebrated all the festivals. So if all the festivals, did Lord Chaitanya also participate in return Rath Yatra? Any guesses? Take a guess.
No.
How many say no? Okay. Don't look here and there. Stick to your vote. How many say yes? Okay.
Invisible road. Mode of separation. Adrishya.
Okay. So both are wrong. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he travelled behind the Rath and he did not touch the ropes of the return Rath Yatra because he was not party to taking Jagannath back from Gundicha to the main temple. But he was in the mood of Akrura, crying behind. The gopis, when they were chasing Akrura's chariot. Akrura's chariot was taking Krishna and Balram, and the gopis were following behind Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Like that, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he was running behind the chariot. So that was his mode of separation. And so, the Gaudiyas, if you happen to be in Puri on the day of return Rath Yatra, in the mood of true Gaudiya and following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to follow behind the Rath and not participate in pulling. So if you don't know the Siddhanta and you just think, oh, Rath, rope, okay. Rath is there, rope is there, and crowd is less. A bigger incentive. खींचो रथ यात्रा के दिन नहीं आ पाए आज ही चांस मिलो. So you will be totally going off the example set by Lord Chaitanya. Right? So it is not like a physical exercise that we are getting to pull the rope. Chance mila khicho. The mood is we are supporting Radharani's mood. So in the return Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was behind the Rath, behind the Jagannath Rath, and crying out as the Rath was coming back. So this is a subtle point for you to note, because many of you may not have gone on Rath Yatra, so you may not have gone on return Rath Yatra also. But you may plan your vacation in such a way that you land on return Rath Yatra. So at that time, you make sure that you follow. And in case you see other Gaudiya Vaishnavas pulling, don't pull them out. Let them do whatever they are doing. You remember for your reference only. Right? Don't start a debate right there. So therefore, this is the recommendation as given. So when Ramanujacharya, can you increase a little bit? Namavrata Prabhu. Yeah, thank you.
So should we dance when we bring the Jagannath back to the temple from Rath Yatra?
Huh? Mahaprabhu was behind. He was behind the chariots and he was crying out, because for devotees, when they are blissful, they chant one mantra. What is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And when devotees are in distress, they also chant one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, both times Lord Chaitanya is chanting the holy names only. But, this is, I read in Krishna Kathamrit Bindu, Madhavananda Prabhu. So, further details on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, did he actually dance or what was exactly his movements and other things, Chaitanya Charitamrita doesn't describe, but we may have to ask him for further details on this. But it's just an interesting point to note that the mood of Jagannath Rath Yatra is how to bring Jagannath from Nilachal to Sundarachal. And so that mood has to be kept consistent. So Ramanujacharya, when he came to when he came to Jagannath Puri, he saw that various kinds of offerings are going on, following, various Tantra Shastra. And then he saw the deities are offered, Jagannath ji is offered. After Jagannath ji is offered, Mahaprasadam, they are offered to Bimala Devi. And then many of the mantras which were being chanted and the way it was being done, Shripad Ramanujacharya had his own reservations. So he immediately called the king and convinced him, we have to change this. So one thing with respect to the deities, I have always observed, deities never change. But the pujaris doing deity worship, they keep changing the method now and then at different points of time. Right? So Srila Prabhupada also established deities at a time when ISKCON was very new and nascent. And many devotees did not even know what is deity worship. He installed deities in Australia and found out that the senior most devotee is only 2 months old. He gave him Brahman and told him, you worship to the best of your ability. And then Prabhupada prayed to the deities, you take care of yourself. These are very new. But by serving you, they will get transformed. So Prabhupada had that faith. Another sannyasi, he says, the day he entered the temple was the day the pujari was leaving. And he said, I am leaving, the next arati is in 1 hour. And you are the person. He said, what is arati? He said, no, you just, these articles are there, you show the articles. Keep moving. And he just gave the list in which order to do and he left. And so this devotee, he did not know how long to offer. So Agarbatti offered half an hour. And then Deepa he offered, and for whole Aarti took him 2.5 hours. So then he calculated 8 Aartis means full day will go. No, that's a mistake. So there was nobody to ask. There's no WhatsApp and this and that. And nobody could actually have full faith in somebody apart from Prabhupada. So he wrote a letter to Prabhupada. I am, doing this Aarti, but I don't know how long it has to be done. That is first question. Second question, I am worshipping these 3 personalities. Black, yellow and white. Who are they? So, these were the fundamental questions in the initial days of ISKCON. Atha to bhayankar jigyasa. But Prabhupada gave access to the deity worship because he had faith. By worshipping the deities, transformation will happen. So therefore, the speciality, as I said yesterday, that in Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath decides how everything should be done. The best darshan of the day is at night, Bada Shringarvesh. You can't question. You just have to accept it. People from different part of society, they are made the pujaris. And Prabhupada says in a purport, they are known as Daita. Daita means those who have received special mercy of Lord Jagannath. They are very dear to Lord Jagannath, Daita. And amongst them there are some Brahmanas, they are called Daitapati. Right? So Lord Jagannath has chosen his servants. No questions asked. So, when Ramanuja came there, he convinced the king, whose name was Chodaganga Dev, So Chodagangadev agreed. And he called all the sevaks and he said, from tomorrow morning, whole system changing. Understand? They said, hey, not possible. We have been doing in a certain way for so long. How we can change? Not possible. He says, no. My new guru has come. Ramanuja. He is, given a whole list of how things will be more systematic and how the deities will be more pleased. So all of the priests, they had only one choice, either submit or leave the service. So they all reluctantly agreed. So next day morning, Jagannath had to be woken up. So at the appointed time, everybody, all the priests came, king also came. And they were waiting for Ramanujacharya. He was supposed to come at one particular time, he didn't come. He thought, Guru is late. Then again they waited for some more time. He didn't come, so the king sent somebody to find out. And he said, he is not there. He is not there, where has he gone? And what happened was, at night, Jagannath appeared right in front of Ramanuja and said, the way the worship is going on here is extremely pleasing to me. Will you mind your own business? And he picked him up and then brought him straight to Kurmakshetra. Non-stop flight. Without any airports in both places. He landed in Kurmakshetra. And then he realized that, okay, Jagannath wants to be served in a certain way. So therefore, Lord is Bhavagrahi Janardana. He will decide how he wants his worship to happen. But of course, that doesn't give us freedom to do the way we want also. Devotees in New Zealand wanted to have 2 sets of deities. There was place for only 1 set. So they made a revolving altar. They put Gauranga in front and put Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra back to back. Height of creativity. And you press button, the altar would move. So you could get alternative darshan. Prabhupada came, offered obeisances to Gauranga. When he got up, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. He got bewildered. He said, what is this? These deities are rolling stone. So they said, we just felt, how can we have both these? So Prabhupada said, no, you can't do like this. It has to be a stable place. You can't just move it around. So there is also a height to, how much you can accommodate creativity. So the 3 important principles in deity worship is punctuality, cleanliness, and you have to have attention to detail. So attention to detail is a symptom of love. So here we find that in Jagannath's Seva, lot of attention to detail is given. And if you go to the kitchen where Jagannath Ji's bhoga is made, you will find that all the pots are placed one on top of another. How many of you have been to Jagannath's kitchen in Puri? One on top of other. 5 or 6 pots. And all of them will get cooked simultaneously. They'll just mix all the spices and everything and just leave it on the pot. And you ask them, who will cook it? Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi will take care. And there is no record of any of the items getting burnt or uncooked or this or that or anything. Right? We can't imitate in our kitchen. And it gets burnt and who cooked Lakshmi Devi? We'll get thrown out of the kitchen. Who burnt it? Lakshmi Devi. I don't know. So it is mesmerizing how the seva is taken care. And even till date, there is no running water inside the kitchen. So if you have gone there, you will see a whole group of wells on the side. Right? And there is a specific group of people who carry the pots and bring the water from there, even till date. All of that is brought, hand picked and brought. So that is the specific service of different types of people. Like some people are cutting vegetables for generations. Certain people are just, taking care of the coconut. So his generation after generation will continue. So as devotion, comes down and the general climate of respect towards devotional service goes down, many of these people are hesitant to allow their next generation to perform this service. And they want their children to also become engineer, doctor, this and that. And so the seva to the Lord, the way it was being done, can get affected. But this is how it was, that each and every person had their specific roles and duties set out. So, having understood how Jagannath Ji's return Rath Yatra happens, then we will come to the next principle, and that is how Jagannath Puri is the ultimate shelter for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And this is really very beautiful to understand, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually the person who revealed that Lord Jagannath is the deity for this age of Kali. And in Prameya Ratnavali, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan describes, he quotes from the Puranas, Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Hi Utkale Purushottama. In the age of Kali, there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas will appear in Utkal from Supreme Lord Jagannath. And so Madhya says, Darujala Rupe Krishna Prakata Samprati Darshana Snane Kore Jivera Mukati Daru Brahma Rupe Sakshat Sri Purushottamam Bhagirati Hoya Sakshat Jala Brahmasam. So Lord appears as wooden form, as Jagannath, and as Jala in the form of Ganga Devi. And so Lord has appeared in both of these forms to deliver each and every soul in Kali Yuga. Taddat Bapuh Pranayase Sadanugrahaya, as Brahmaji says, that the Lord appears in various forms to deliver all of his souls in this age of Kali, according to the mood, according to the particular flavor which the devotee may have. So, it is described here that during the period of King Purushottam Dev, he wanted to have a peace treaty with the king of Kanchi. So he approached the king of Kanchi, and the king of Kanchi offered his daughter, whose name was Padmavati, in marriage to King Purushottam Dev. King Purushottam Dev was a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. So when this offer for marriage came, King Purushottam Dev accepted, and he said, you send your daughter Padmavati to Jagannath Puri, because I cannot have the marriage, because very soon Jagannath Rath Yatra is happening. So my first priority is to make sure that the Rath Yatra happens properly, but she can also participate in the Rath Yatra. So along with one more minister, Padmavati comes and stays in Jagannath Puri. And then one day before, on the day of Rath Yatra, the king, as per tradition, takes the broom and starts brooming in front of Jagannath deities. When the minister sees this, he is upset. He goes and reports to the king of Kanchi that your prospective son-in-law he performs activities like sweeping also. This is below your dignity. So sometimes middlemen create maximum problem. Right? So he was creating this doubt in his mind. He said, really? He said, yeah, we should call off this relationship. So the king of Kanchi called off the wedding. So when King Purushottam Dev heard this, he became very upset. He said, what is this? This is an insult to Lord Jagannath. That I cannot be a sevak to Lord Jagannath and I cannot do this, grooming seva. It's an insult to Jagannath. He took his army and attacked. When he attacked, somehow he was not fully prepared. There was a severe pushback. And before the attack started, the king of Kanchi said, if the war happens, if you lose the war, Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra will be brought from Jagannath Puri and kept behind the Ganesh deity here in Kanchi. If you win, then Ganesh deity will leave from here and go and sit behind Jagannath deity in Puri. So previously, Kshatriya kings, they were devotees, so they would involve gods also. So just because the lords are there and, Bhagavan is in the picture doesn't mean the tendency for conflict goes away. So conflict is there, full-fledged. So when the attack happens, there is a pushback and he brings his entire army back. His army is routed. So the main part of his army is routed. He doesn't know what to do. He's crying in front of Lord Jagannath. Jagannath speaks up to him and says, don't worry. I will support you. King Purushottam Dev says, if you don't support me, we will all lose you, because as per the treaty, if I lose, you have to go to Kanchi. So he says, don't worry, I am with you. But he said, I don't have an army. Jagannath says, whoever is with you, take them. But there are only, old men and injured men, men with one leg on a walking stick. No problem, just go. I am there now. So he takes all of them. So few warriors and remaining is all Jugad army. So he's going on a horse. And then suddenly, without him knowing, ahead of him, on a black horse and a white horse, two personalities, they are passing by near Chilka Lake and come to a place called Manikapatnam. There is a lady called Manika and she is giving buttermilk. And they say, we are very thirsty, give us buttermilk. And they drink the buttermilk. After they drink the buttermilk, they sit back on the horse about to leave. She says, hey, what about payment? And they say, well, we don't have any money, but the guy coming behind, the king is coming, he'll make the payment on my behalf. This king will pay, how will he know? So he coolly, the black person slips off his ring, gives it to Manika and says, show the ring to him. He'll take care of the payment. Rest assured. Credit card. Goes ahead. And then when Manika sees this army coming behind, she runs and stops the king and says, hey, there were two of your people who came right in front of you and they drank this buttermilk. You have to make the payment. King said, I am the one leading, Baba. Everybody is behind me. Nobody is ahead of me. She says, no. There was this person in black and in white, and both of them, they came and they drank. Leave us alone. We are on a mission. And then she showed the ring. And when he saw the ring, it's the ring of Jagannath, he was in ecstasy. Because till then he was in doubt, should I proceed or not? As soon as he saw the ring, he got full conviction that Jagannath is already gone ahead. So he called his entire army and they went ahead with full steam. By then Jagannath and Baldev reached and routed the entire army. And all our Purushottam Dev had to do was go and be there to take Padmavati as a prisoner and brought the Ganesh deity also. And then he immediately gave order to his minister, make sure you find the best sweeper in Jagannath Puri, and Padmavati should marry him. So he was in a mood of revenge. So minister had, some kind of diplomatic sense. So he just kept her with his protection and waited till the Rath Yatra came. And on the day of Rath Yatra, and Padmavati was also getting bewildered, what is going to happen? And the minister was saying, your marriage is happening soon. Hey, you found the sweeper? Yeah, you found the best sweeper. Hey, Baba, but I'm princess, how can I marry sweeper? What do you think? Don't worry, Lord Jagannath is there. So, she was decorated in a complete bridal outfit and given garland in her hand, and the minister took her. And as soon as King Purushottam Dev finished the sweeping in front of Jagannath ji, he brought Padmavati right in front of him and said, this is the best sweeper. And King Purushottam Dev was astounded by the diplomacy and maturity shown by his minister. And at that moment in front of Jagannath, he couldn't say anything. He happily accepted this. So that's how if you go to Jagannath temple, right behind Jagannath deities, when you are doing a parikrama, you will see the Kanchi Ganesh giving darshan there. So many wonderful, amazing pastimes have happened between various devotees with respect to Lord Jagannath. So then we come to the last part of today's discussion, which is, why is Jagannath Puri the inner chamber of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's home? So everything arises from kama or desire. So Jagannath Puri is a manifestation of Lord's desire to fulfill. That is the only place where where Krishna's three desires, which were unfulfilled, got fulfilled. Which is, first, to understand the extent of Radha Prema. Second, to understand the speciality of Krishna's guna. What are Krishna's qualities which attract? And third, to understand the extent of the bliss which Radharani experiences in serving Krishna, Radhananda. So these were the three unfulfilled desires. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the last 18 years in Jagannath Puri, fulfilling these unfulfilled desires. And so it is said, Dvadasha Vatsara Shesha Rohila Nila Chale Aswadiya Purna Kaila Apana Vanchile. For those 12 years, for the last 12 years, specifically Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was completely immersed only in experiencing those ecstasies. So therefore, this is very important to understand that the last 10 chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita can only be accessed by those devotees who have a very deep understanding of the Siddhanta. It is not for the neophytes to enter into that section, because unless you know the basics clear, you cannot just jump into those pastimes. Prabhupada was on a morning walk. This was in Prayag during Kumbh Mela. And Prabhupada suddenly turned and said, why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? One devotee said, because Gita says so. Prabhupada said, Gita is only a book. Then another devotee said, Prabhupada, you say. Prabhupada, I'm old man. I keep saying so many things. And everybody got bewildered. So Prabhupada said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because if you chant His holy names, you experience transformation. You experience the transformation by performing His bhakti. Therefore, He is the Supreme Personality of God. So devotees had never heard this. It was a very unique reply. So 3 years later, devotees were in a morning walk in Philadelphia. And Prabhupada again asked, why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And one devotee was in that previous morning walk in Kumbh Mela. He thought, this is my chance. I'll give the right answer. And Prabhupada will look at me, pat me, and say, good, you understood. And my God brothers will respect me a little more. So immediately he said, Prabhupada, because when you chant the holy names, you experience transformation, so you know Krishna the Supreme. Prabhupada said, no, because Gita says so. So Prabhupada said, the Krishna conscious philosophy has to be understood from different angles. So you can't just approach it in one-dimensional mode and think that this is it. So therefore, when you are approaching Lord Jagannath and you are approaching Purushottam Kshetra Puri, we need multiple angles to appreciate Puridham. So this gives one more angle to appreciate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's historical connection with Puri. So it is said that in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, there is a verse which says, Shri Hatta Nibasi Shri Upendra Mishra Nama Vaishnava Pandita Dhani Sadguna Pradhana. So it is described that the Mishra family or Mishra surname is not common in Bengal. In Bengal, the common surname is Mukherjee or Mukhopadhyay, Bandyopadhyay, Chattopadhyay. These are the common surnames in Bengal. So Mishra is typically a name which is part of the Odisha landscape. So it is said that in a place in Orissa known as Jajpur, there was a person called Kamal Lochan Mishra. Kamal Lochan Mishra had a son whose name was Madhukar Mishra. Madhukar Mishra left Jajpur in 1451. And then Madhukar Mishra had several sons whose name was Kirtan Mishra, Rangada Mishra, Phanindra Mishra, Krutibas Mishra, and the last was Upendra Mishra. Upendra Mishra married Shobha Devi. And from Upendra Mishra and Shobha Devi came Kansari Mishra, Paramananda Mishra, and Jagannath Mishra. Jagannath Mishra married a lady called Shachi Chakrabarti. And from them came 8 daughters who did not survive, and Vishwarup and Vishwambar Mishra. So therefore, it is described that this Vishwambar Mishra actually is what we call as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Mishra Brahmins from Kapileshwar in Jajpur district in Orissa, they left long time back, and it is described in a very beautiful pastime that, that Lord Jagannath Ji came in the dream of the Mishras, and after manifesting in his dream, he ordered them to leave for Bengal And at this point, they immediately left and they came to a place which is in modern day Bangladesh called Dhaka Dakshinagram. So Dhaka Dakshinagram is a place near Sylhet. And then Jagannath ji again appeared in the dream and he said, I am pleased with your devotion. You have followed my order. And because you have followed my order, I reveal to you that I will be born in your family in my essential Swarupa. So Jagannath ji appeared in their dream and revealed to them. So the Mishras were very excited. And this was a family secret of the Mishras, that the Lord will appear in our family. So they were very eager to witness Lord Jagannath appear in their family. And Upendra Mishra and his wife Shobha Devi, they were also very much expecting Lord Jagannath to appear. But so many children were born, none of them were matching that description. And at this point, Shobha Devi became very old and very anxious, and she started praying to Lord Jagannath, when are you going to appear in our family? At that time, Lord Jagannath appeared in her dream, Shobha Devi's dream. Lord Jagannath with his large eyes, they are known as Chokadola, and with his large eyes, suddenly he turned into a golden effulgent sannyasi. And that sannyasi also had large eyes like Jagannath, the Chokadola. And then he was shaved head and had saffron clothes. And then he speaks to Shobha Devi, my beloved Thakurma, grandmother, I am your grandson. I am going to take birth in your family. You will get to serve me for a short time, but don't worry, I will be gifting a deity of myself to you. And Chokadola means the deity which has round eyes. Shobha Devi woke up with ecstasy, and the feelings of separation from Lord Jagannath were burning her. And she shared this vision with her husband, Upendra Mishra. They kept it a secret. Their son Jagannath Mishra had been sent from Sylhet to Navadip to study grammar. And he was studying under Nilambar Chakravarti. And it so happened that they decided that Jagannath Mishra should get married to Nilambar Chakravarti's, daughter, Shachi Devi. So, as they chose Shachi Devi as the daughter of Nilambar Chakravarti to get married, Nilambar Chakravarti indicated to Jagannath Mishra's parents, Upendra Mishra, that actually even he had made calculations, Nilambar Chakravarti, and said that Lord Jagannath will appear in our family. And that was a secret which even he knew. So both families embraced each other and started crying tears of ecstasy. And they brought both Sachi and Jagannath Mishra in front of their family deities, and the family deities were known as Krishna Chandra deities. And so when they were brought in front of the deities, Nilambar Chakravarti was in great ecstasy. He said that as part of the marriage, I will not only give my daughter Shachi, but along with that, during the wedding, I will also give my deities Krishna Chandra. So although Nilambar Chakravarti spoke about the Lord appearing in their family, what Upendra Mishra and Shobha Devi did not reveal is that person will be in the form of a sannyasi. that they did not reveal at that time. So well, the marriage happened. Some people say the marriage of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi happened at Sylhet. Others say it happened at Navadvip. But the Krishna Chandra deity was sent to Sylhet to be worshipped by Upendra Mishra and Shobha Devi. Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi settled in Navadvip, and Upendra Mishra and Shobha Devi were in Sylhet. As she was seeing off Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi, Shobha Devi extracted a promise from Jagannath Mishra. When you get that son, who is a manifestation of Lord Jagannath, you have to make sure you send him to me, because I am so old, I do not have the strength to travel to Navadvip. But you make sure you send him to me so that I can have his darshan. Jagannath Mishra promised. So the Garbhadan Sanskar happened, and 8 miscarriages happened after that. Shobha Devi was growing older and anxious, and she started begging and praying to Jagannath more and more. And then finally Vishwarup was born. And then after Vishwarup in 1486, Vishwambar, who was born, demonstrated all the symptoms of being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Nilambar Chakravarti made the horoscope of Vishwambar, he realized, this is him. And that was the identity confirmed. Message was sent to Shobha Devi that Lord Jagannath has appeared. And so Shobha Devi was in great ecstasy. And she was unable to travel due to age. She stayed in Sylhet doing kirtan and doing seva to her deities of Krishna Chandra. When Vishwambar was 16 years of age, Jagannath Mishra told him that I made a promise to my mother that when you are of age and you can travel on your own, you will go and visit her. You have to go to Sylhet. And that's the reason why Vishwambar, he at that point left Navadvip and went to Sylhet. As soon as he comes to the house of Shobha Devi, he embraces Shobha Devi and says, my dear Thakurma, I am Vishwambar, your grandson. Shobha Devi looks at Vishwambar from top to bottom and he says, you look splendid with lovely locks of hair, fancy dress and everything, but I am expecting a sannyasi in simple saffron clothes without any locks of hair. I have already accepted that beautiful sannyasi as my grandson. So therefore, I cannot understand who is this. If you are really that grandson of mine, prove to me by showing that form of the beautiful effulgent sannyasi. So as soon as Vishwambar heard this, he said, yes, I am willing to show you that form on one condition. You lock me inside your puja room and do not open the door for 7 days. And then you will see me in that form. So Shobha Devi allows Vishwambar to go inside the puja room, and along with Krishna Chandra deity, he closes himself. For 4 days, she is expecting that the door will open. After the 4 days, she cannot resist. And she takes a beautiful garland, opens the door, because she hears loud ecstatic kirtan coming from inside, as if thousands of devotees are inside. When she opens the door, she finds all the devotees disappear, and only Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with the eyes of Lord Jagannath, is standing there in his effulgent sannyasi form. And at this point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a sannyasi, looks at his grandmother with those choka-dola eyes, the round, big eyes, and she says, beloved Thakurma, you could not wait any longer, but that's all right. Behold this form of mine just for you. I have manifested myself in the most confidential form of a beggar sannyasi who's begging for the love of the Brajavasis. I have kept my choka-dola eyes as Jagannath. And my dear Thakurma, I have fulfilled your desire. embrace me. Will you not, now that you know I am your grandson? Shobha Devi, she immediately steps and then embraces him, and in ecstasy she faints. When she gets up, after she regains her consciousness, she sees that the sannyasi form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has transformed into a deity form. And therefore, it is described that this deity form is the first ever manifest deity form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this planet. And this deity form manifested in 1502 in Sylhet. And these deities were in Sylhet, and then 1947 the partition happened, Sylhet became part of Bangladesh. There were threats of Islamic terrorists. Mahaprabhu's deities were still kept there very secretly. But during the riots of 1971 war, the Mishras migrated to Sri Kona in Assam. And therefore, currently the 14th and 15th generation descendants of Upendra Mishra are worshipping those deities safely in Sri Kona in Assam. And every year there is a festival which is held commemorating the appearance of these deities when Shobha Devi first saw these deities being manifested. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for him, Puri is not just the place where all of his 3 confidential desires were fulfilled, but for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Puri is also his ancestral home. Because Lord Jagannath is the worshipable deities for the Mishras, who are originally from Orissa in Jajpur. So in this way, Puri is both the inner chamber of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's home and his ancestral home, where all his heart's desires are fulfilled to the fullest. Jai Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai, Shri Radha Nila Madhav Bhagavan ki Jai, Jai Go Premanande. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So now we'll have kirtan. Krishna Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Spodaksa Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhaicharanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Vivid Sanstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Spodaksa Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shravdas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की प्रभु श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्री प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेटर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री राधा नील माधव सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की शशि गौर निताय की जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Narasimha, पाहि नरसिंह हरे जय नरसिंह अद्भुत श्रृंगार तनु जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Hare Krishna. So today was the third session on the Jagannath Lila. So today Prabhuji covered very in detail how Lord appeared in Lila Chandam as a Jagannath, and also what are the principles behind the Rath Yatra and how Jagannath Puri became the shelter for Lord Jagannath, as well as the inner chamber, and also his ancestral roots, how it originates from Orissa. So with that, let's express our gratitude and thank His Grace Gauranga Prabhu by loudly chanting Hari Bol 3 times, very enthusiastically. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Also, we will resume the 4th session, which will be the culmination of all the 3 sessions that we had held as part of the Sunday feast. So please be here sharp at 6 o'clock or even before that. And after the Gaur Aarti, we'll also have a 10-minute short video on Govardhan Eco Village. So please be here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.